This could be an answer, at least for most of businesses, that you can actually sort of reinvent yourself or extend beyond what you feel comfortable doing and see how you can make yourself relevant in getting a solution against COVID-19.
The world is deep in the throes of global pandemic, the likes of which has not been seen in 100 years. But even in normal times, the spread of diseases is a massive problem. Harmful pathogens are everywhere, in the plumbing, in the air, and on the things we touch. And as bacteria gradually evolves resistance to antibiotics, we face a vital need to find new solutions. Our guest on this week's UpTech Report may have one. Larryi Ding is the CEO of AbleLife, a healthcare technology startup that's developed a compound that kills harmful pathogens on contact. The applications are immense, and right now, sorely needed. Larryi, I'm excited to be with you and to be able to talk about this very relevant topic at the moment of positioning in an environment like COVID, and how does an existing business and product, how do you take that and apply it to whatever environment you're in. Can you start off, share kind of your history of where you got to where you came from, where you are to now, and then those three examples. We're talking about how you're advising companies right now and how it could apply, and maybe provide some insight to others they can learn from.
I have been working in the startup world for the past 3 months or so. To give a little bit history of myself, before this, I was with AT&T, right, running a bunch of different roles, ranging from consumer mobility, strategy to IoT and mobile finished service. And my last role for the past 2 years was actually running our partnership with key cloud partners, global strategy, as well as a new business incubation.
So tell me, what are give me a couple examples then of what you've seen.
So when I first, I have to say that when I decided to leave the big corporate mothership and they came to the wild west, a startup, it could not be happen in a worse timing. You think about end of January, right? The world looked very rosy. You have a lot of investors. We are talking to, customers. Say pipeline look very solid. Guess what? In about a couple of weeks, everything started to shut down, and you start to hear bad news every day, right? And to a point when we're talking to one of the commentators, from under the network, and she was saying, "Hey, you know what, Larry? I see so many people coming to me who are running a lot of mid-market cap companies, just saying we are dried up. We're not so going to survive, right?" And my answer back then was, I said, you think about any crisis, right? But every crisis you see could also come into opportunities, right? You got to think about how to adapt, right? So when I look at COVID-19, I think two things that really popped in my mind. One is that to a lot of aspects, things are going to change forever. For instance, working from home is going to be a norm, and also online shopping and the delivery will only be accelerated. So if we're in the traditional sort of business, whether it's for hospitality or entertainment, you got to think about how to do things more in a digital way. At the same time, COVID-19 itself is going to create some interesting opportunity, in the arena of healthcare and disinfection, right? So I personally experienced a lot of use cases, and with quite a few companies I've been working with, right? Either as an advisor or board member or executive role, to see how can we actually steer ourselves into, and really embrace the new reality, right? Sometimes some of them are literally, once of lifetime opportunities. Some of them are just like you had to just change your focus, right? So the first thing comes to mind about once a lifetime opportunity is that I've been involved in Atlanta-based IoT software company who had been working on a pretty innovative way on IoT connectivity and trackers. So the company is actually had developed a new technology to really deliver a cellular-based IoT solution with much less power and more accurate location-based service, right? So when it comes to COVID-19, and we just start to see a lot of need for social distancing in workplaces, right? Especially here in the United States, where we actually see a lot of manufacturers came to us and also our partners and asking for solutions that can actually detect how close workers are in the workplace, right? Are they within, is John and Jean within social, within 6 feet? If they are, right, we need to let them know that they are getting too close. And also when getting close contact, I want to just make the system aware so that if one of them gets sick later on, the company will actually immediately know, who to call and who to put under quarantine, right? So it sounds easy, but when you think about the current technologies out there, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, none of them is perfect. So this really drove us to looking to our basic technology, our platform, as well as a lot of patents we have. And we found a very interesting combination of different technology and that allow us to develop a solution that's so easy when two devices, two trackers get too close within 6 feet, just send out an alert and also, put something to the cloud as a messenger, just say, so-and-so is getting too close within 6 feet, right? So just easy to implement. So this is actually, so we're in the middle of doing a prototype right now, and also it's about execution as well, speed, right? So our goal is actually to bring the prototype to the market over a few weeks, and really start to do some lot of customer demonstration. We know the demand there, but you need to execute, right? So literally overnight, the company has very much expand our focus from doing the traditional tracking and IoT into something that is more COVID-19, problem solving. So this is one example.
Now taking it to market, that's the next phase to figure out who will buy it and going from there. But it's like you won't know what will work unless you try it and be able to prove it.
But also there's lots of risk taking as well, simply because this is the one of a kind, right? For being and to be the first to market. So you need to be nimble. You need to take a lot of risk and really dedicate your resource and get a product out to the market, along with finding the right channel to get it in front of the right customers.
You mentioned another one that is they use drone imagery, but it's the imaging and analyzing content. Can you tell me more about how your suggestion around their pivot there?
That's also even more interesting, right? So if you think about how COVID-19 will impact a company that actually do a lot of imaging process for drone, and most people will say, aren't you some kind of trouble right now? Because say, if you use drone data to analytics, right? So a lot of your client base are actually in the construction business. And I'm sure you you have interviewed Basker before, right? He's a very talented and young entrepreneur, right? And he's been very successful. But in the middle of COVID-19, right? So since I'm sort of sitting on the board of TechVavia, so Basker would just scratch our head and say, what is solution out there we can help, right? So we did a very systematic way to looking at our existing offer, what are good at, right? As well as how can we actually apply our technology into COVID-19 related and more like not about social distancing. I think we can do that. Although I don't think people love to be spied on, how close they are with drone and all that, right? But one thing very interesting we found is that we have done a lot of work on thermal imaging, especially given our work in the solar panel deployment business, right? So we actually know solar image very well. We know how to analyze the data and how to do a lot of adjustment. We know how things work. Along with recognition technology, we actually know that where to apply, right? So think about in the post-pandemic use case for a lot of nursing homes and hospitals, you actually want to know when a visitor come to your office, you want to know whether or not they are healthy, right? So a lot of what you do in most common cases, you want to know whether or not they have a fever. If they do have a fever, likely they want to know, hey, do you have a cold? Do we need to further evaluate it before you go and touch the patients? Because especially in nursing homes, it will be detrimental if you have one patient that is either with COVID-19 or influenza touch other patients. So you want to avoid any kind of community spread of any diseases, right? But the challenge with thermal imaging is that as I shared with you earlier, the temperature around your face, each spot is different, right? So how do you actually use AI to understand where is the right spot to measure the right temperature on this thermal imaging, right? And also how to adjust the actual measuring based on the surrounding temperature and a lot of other factors, because the thermal image, as good as it is, you have to understand a lot of background information, right? As well as the actual person, the distance, and a lot of parameters to give the right measure. And I want to give you one example. It's actually related to the company called Able Life, which I'm sitting, as the interim CEO, right? So Able Life, we've been working on this disinfection technology for years. So we have invented a water treatment technology, disinfect water. We can actually prove we are 99.99999. I want to give you the proper nines. It's actually 7 nines, log 7, right? In terms of to kill bacteria in the water system, whether it's hot water or drinkable water, right? So we can prove the technology will be working. We were ready to launch our water-based product when this whole thing happened, right? So the question becomes, then our customer came and just said, hey, do you think you can kill COVID-19, right? What about if you can kill, and also it's actually, the technology is very interesting. It sounds simple, but you have a lot of technology around it. It's actually a piece of foam, right? Looks like a sponge, but we had embedded our core molecule into this foam, so that any bacteria or bugs or most virus, when it goes through this piece of foam, we kill them. We just zap it, right? So the question becomes, hey, how does this work in air? Can this work on virus? It's like COVID-19. So we are in the middle of a lot of tests right now to see what we can do with it. But again, the early indications say that with enough dwelling time and and the right concentration, there's a good chance that we can actually help to eliminate or kill, in many use cases, viruses. Bacteria, for sure, we have 10 years data to prove that, but we are entering into like a more viral and COVID-19 sort of relevant test and all that. But again, this is a pretty big idea. I believe if we can actually prove we can actually kill a lot of most viruses, including COVID-19, this will become big, right? But again, this is another good example of how do you actually extend your current sort of scope of service or product and extrapolate into some new territory and see how that works. So we're in the middle of doing that as well. So that's why inclusion, I think, even with my limited exposure of different startups, right, in their combat, against COVID-19 and grow the company, I believe if you put the right mindset, right, as well as be creative enough, I believe this could be an answer, at least for most of businesses, that you can actually sort of reinvent yourself or extend beyond what you feel comfortable doing and see how you can make yourself relevant in getting a solution against COVID-19.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.